all of it's been very personal, just watching the kids experience it. And for me, I would say, you know, they're two little kids, Ian and Taylor, who recently passed from cancer. And throughout our filming, I was communicating with them, knowing that they were both terminal. And what they said to me is, and their parents said, they're trying to hold on till this movie comes.
Why does Black Panther matter? Because it obviously does matter. The thing's a cultural phenomenon, and it's made over, hold on, let me refresh Box Office Mojo. $1 bazillion. But I've seen a lot of people ask some variation of, why do people care so much about Black Panther? Or even straight up saying Black Panther shouldn't matter. And I think a lot of that is due to not understanding why representation matters. So why does representation matter? Well, there's a ton of reasons actually, but I think we'll get a pretty good look at most of those reasons by breaking down the films of Black Panther's director, Ryan Coogler. 31-year-old Oakland-born filmmaking god Ryan Coogler has only directed 3 films, Fruitvale Station, Creed, and Black Panther. And we're gonna dive into all 3. Now, I'm gonna avoid major spoilers for the film's endings, but still, spoilers. Let's jump in.
My name is Ryan Coogler. I'm a filmmaker from the East Bay area. And Fruitvale Station is an independent film about the last 24 hours in the life of Oscar Grant. It's based on a true story. You know, Oscar Grant was someone who was shot in an officer-involved shooting on a BART station, on the Fruitvale BART station in Oakland, California, on New Year's Day, 2009.
Fruitvale Station destroys me every time. Michael B. Jordan was created by Ryan Coogler in some Wakandan lab for the specific purpose of making me cry forever. Before seeing the last day in Oscar Grant's life, we're shown the actual cell phone footage of Oscar getting shot in the back while unarmed, face down on the ground, and handcuffed. So the whole film becomes more and more painful as we see how good of a guy he is, how normal of a guy he is. And that's the power of this film's representation, because it's miles from the stereotypes and the usual media narrative with cases like this. The entirety of Fruitvale Station serves one simple and powerful purpose: to present Oscar Grant as what he was, a human being with a family and a girlfriend and money problems and flaws and a daughter and a heart. I think the film's actually summed up perfectly by a single scene. Oscar finds this very friendly stray pit bull, and almost immediately after that, the pit bull is hit by a car. Oscar holds the dog in his arms as it dies. We're shown something that's usually portrayed as mindlessly violent and heartless, represented here as an actual living thing, something more than a stereotype. And then we see it needlessly killed. And then we cry forever. Stop making me cry, Michael B. Jordan. If Fruitvale Station's goal was to represent the main character as just a normal human being, the goal of Coogler's next film was to create an icon. Rocky's sequel/spin-off Creed follows Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Creed, son of Rocky's late rival turned bestie Apollo Creed, as he convinces Rocky to train him to be the new greatest of all time. And by the end of the movie, you're rooting for Adonis just as much as you've ever rooted for Rocky. It succeeds at being a Rocky for a new generation, and then some. It's honestly just one of the best movies ever. But how is this significant representation? Well, let's do a real quick experiment and Google most iconic characters of all time. And white guy, white lady, white guy, green alien, white guy, white guy, white guy, white guy, white guy. On Empire's list of 100 greatest movie characters of all time, you know how many of those characters are black? 3. Well, 3.5 if you include Darth Vader's voice. There are literally as many minions on the list as there are black characters. That's why Creed's representation is such a big deal. It gives us a universally inspiring and iconic character that is also black. And while films about police brutality and poverty are extremely important, like, Fruitvale Station, it's also important to represent the part of the black community that doesn't struggle with those things on a daily basis and also exist in real life. This is something we actually see on display even more in Black Panther. Creed isn't about overcoming racism or overcoming poverty or even overcoming that dude that's punching you very directly in the face. It's about overcoming yourself.
Okay. You see this guy here staring back at you?
Yeah?
That's your toughest opponent. Every time you get into the ring, that's who you're going against. I believe that in boxing, and I do believe that in life. Okay?
And in the process, we end up with a character that's inspired me more than any other character in modern film.
So if I fight, you fight.
And makes me cry forever. Stop making me cry forever! While so much of African culture is portrayed as primitive or impoverished, Coogler represents African culture with actual respect. Wakanda shows you the culture's beauty and portrays its traditions as something with value and meaning. And then there's Ruthie Carter's African-inspired costume design depicting things like Africa's geometric patterns or lip plates as stylish as all hell. I mean, look at that dude. How cool is that dude? The entire film represents the culture as something to aspire to. And not just the culture, but the people. Wakanda has the most powerful warriors, the most peaceful population, even the smartest person in the world. Speaking of which, the representation of strong women in this film is just as impressive and groundbreaking as the representation of black culture. If this were the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would be 1,000,000% cool with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And just like with his other two films, Coogler makes sure every character is an actual human with actual human motivations, especially Michael B. Jordan as the film's amazing antagonist, Eric Killmonger, who's really just a kid from Oakland. How do I even have tears left? But the most fascinating thing about Wakanda is that it represents a version of Africa that wasn't stripped and plundered and crippled by centuries of slavery and exploitation. Here's Evan Narcisse, Ta-Nehisi Coates' co-writer on the Rise of the Black Panther comic, talking about the significance of Wakanda.
Wakanda represents a dream of an unbroken history, a dream of uninterrupted potentiality. Like, they've managed to become technologically advanced because nobody's messed with them. They've been able to live their lives and be free in a way that a lot of black people in the real world don't actually know what it feels like. I don't know what it feels like, and I live in the United States of America.
And that's a vision of Wakanda that Ryan Coogler obviously shares, judging by some of the symbolism in Black Panther.
You'll see, nobody else in this sequence is wearing the color red. Nobody else in the sequence is wearing the color green. Folks who are familiar with the concept of pan-africanism, the pan-African flag is red, black, and green. So when you see T'Challa and Nakia and Okoye in their covert looks, you see the colors of the pan-African flag.
Pan-Africanism is the movement to reunite the African diaspora, the people who are forcibly divided for generation after generation after generation. And Wakanda shows us the true potential of those people and that movement. But the representation in this film isn't just showing respect for African culture.
But I also grew up with a healthy love of pop culture. Like any kid that was born in the 80s, came up in the 90s. I love video games, love comic books, love the comic book cartoons. And I always had an aching for characters that look like me. And not just one character, but for worlds that look like my world growing up in the East Bay area. And you love Spider-Man, you love X-Men, you love everything the same, but you do long to buy a toy who looks like you, who looks like your family, who looks like your friends. And so for me as a filmmaker, this film is a gift. And hopefully, you know, when we show the film to the world, we'll be able to see some kids that came up that was like us, getting access to something that we never had.
Here's a hypothetical. Imagine someone telling you that you are equal in every single way to these other people that look different from you. And you try to believe that person, but 90% of the time when you turn on the TV or you go to a movie or you read a list from Empire magazine, the hero of the story doesn't look like you. Representation that is entirely disproportionate to the actual population. When that's the case, when you spend your entire life in that environment, when everything you see contradicts what that person is telling you, why would you ever believe them? Whether you're black or white or Hispanic or a man or a woman or non-binary or whatever, seeing yourself matters, which is why equality is not possible without representation. And I don't know if there's a director that understands this better than Ryan Coogler. Whether it's representing a culture and a people with power and respect, or shattering stereotypes, or creating truly iconic characters, Ryan Coogler continues to use representation to lift up and unite people that are so rarely represented in that way. And guess what? You are allowed to not like Black Panther. It's okay if Black Panther doesn't matter to you. But maybe now you'll understand why it does matter to millions of people finally being told you are a human being. You are iconic. You are beautiful. You are respected. You are powerful. You are brilliant. You are caring. You are unstoppable. You are equal. Hey gals, guys, and otherwise, we did it! This last month has been crazy bonkers, partly because I was gonna do a different video, and then I saw Black Panther, and I was like, yeah, I need to talk about that, please. But the biggest reason this month has been crazy bonkers is because we just launched the Make Stuff Patreon. It's over at patreon.com/roselion. Patreon makes making these videos possible, and better, and more frequent. How it works is you pay whatever you want once a month, and depending on how much you pay, you get access to all kinds of exclusive dopeness, like my monthly Behind the Stuff video series, where I A your cues, go behind the scenes on my videos and comics, announce new videos, and other affable shenanigans. There's also commentary editions of my most popular videos, like my Avatar The Last Airbender vid, or if you know me from my comic book work, there are even annotated editions of all my comics on there. Annotated editions? That's hard to say. And here's the big one, if you give even $1 a month, you get to see every Make Stuff video an entire week before everyone else. Plus, you can even get a shout out at the end of each video, like these gorgeous human beings. Gidgfu. Starting this one out strong, aren't we? Freeman Tim, you beautiful man. Chasky, Faith, Isadora Ray, beautiful elvish name. Claudette, Bronwyn, all of these are Lord of the Rings characters, I'm pretty sure. Lino Metzger, Connor T. L. Sullivan, ooh, fancy. Krista Cashin, I know her. Maple, Hannah L. V. Silverman, Kiwi again? Oh my gosh, stop it. But don't stop it. The Toter, God, I wish that was a Lord of the Rings character. Angelica Schuyler, wow, I am satisfied now. Like the musical. Bull Run, Pablo E, Natalie D, Jose California, God, I hope that's your real name. Armando, and many, many anonymous people. You are all beautiful anonymous. Thank you all so much. Please go check out the Patreon at patreon.com/roselion. That's my last name. And as always, go make stuff. Really?